Hello everyone, welcome to Nilanjana's exclusive English lessons, and today's video we are going to discuss some very crucial questions of Act 3 Scene 1 Julius Caesar. I'm sure most of the schools must have started already with Act 3, which is a part of your grade 10 portion. And since some exams are in the month of June and July, once your summer vacation is over, I think it is very important to revise Act 3 with the help of very important questions and answers. So let's begin. Those who are new to the channel, this is Nilanjana Sarkar, and I'm sure all of you will find a lot of valuable content on my channel related to literature and language. So let's discuss the questions. Why does Caesar ignore Artemidorus's warning? Now, who was Artemidorus? I hope all of you remember. He's a teacher of rhetoric and he's a well-wisher of Caesar. He tried to warn Caesar towards the end of Act 2, right? Through a letter. He wanted to give a petition while Caesar was on his way to Senate. So, how or why does Caesar ignore Artemidorus's warning? Actually, he was giving the warning. He thought of writing the letter, but that time he did not meet Caesar in Act 2. But here in Act 3, Scene 1, he is the first person after the soothsayer who wants to talk to Caesar. So the answer, Artemidorus approaches Caesar during the Senate meeting with a written warning that names the conspirators plotting against him. However, Caesar dismisses the plea, famously asserting, "What touches us shall be last served." This response reveals Caesar's profound belief in his own invincibility, as he chooses personal concerns over immediate caution. Despite earlier warnings from Calpurnia's ominous dream and the soothsayer's caution to beware the Ides of March, Caesar's confidence blinds him into real danger. By ignoring Artemidorus's warning, Caesar demonstrates pride and overconfidence, which ultimately leads him into the fatal attack. Shakespeare uses this moment to build dramatic irony as the audience is aware of the assassination, even while Caesar turns a deaf ear. So Caesar ignores the warning, right? All of you must be remembering he ignores the warning. And what he does is he tells that what touches us shall be last served. So I'm not going to concentrate on these things. Rather, I'm going to consider the looking into all these things at the end. There are more important matters to discuss at the Senate. So this is what Caesar does, and that turns out to be very fatal for him because very soon he gets murdered. So we can see that Calpurnia also warned him. The soothsayer also tried to caution him, but he just turns a deaf ear. So what does this reveal? It again reveals his pride and overconfidence. And yes, at the same time, this situation in the drama is also an example of irony. Why? Because the audience knows what is going to happen. Everyone is aware that very soon this man is going to be killed. But Caesar thinks he's beyond any kind of danger. So that is the reason he ignores Artemidorus's warning. Let's move on to the next question. Yes, before that, I also want to give a big shout out to my new members, those who are a part of my community, Puran Rawat, R. Nath, and Manjiri Walve. Thank you for joining this community. I'm sure our membership program will give you a lot of valuable insights into learning this drama, and this is going to be really one of the milestones in your educational journey. So thank you for believing in Nilanjana's exclusive English lessons. And those who are listening to the video, I'm sure you are also considering about taking our membership, because our membership program is extremely valuable. You get a lot of detailed analysis of the drama. Like for example, Act 3 Scene 1 is accessible to everyone. But if you want to go beyond that, Act 3 Scene 2, Scene 3, and the entire drama till Act 5 with a lot of notes and question answers, do consider our membership, and I'm sure you will not at all feel that you have done something which you should not have, because it's going to be very valuable for all of you. And while you're choosing the membership program, the Act 5 membership is the most convenient and valuable program for everyone. All right, so without wasting much time, let me get into question number two. What is Trebonius's role in the conspiracy? What does this highlight? So, who was Trebonius? Trebonius was the person who had taken Mark Antony out of the way before the murder, right? So let's see what's the answer. Trebonius plays a strategic and active part in the assassination plan by physically removing Mark Antony from the Senate chamber. By leading Antony away, Trebonius effectively prevents him from intervening or defending Caesar during the attack. This deliberate action highlights the conspirators' meticulous planning and coordination in executing their mission. Now, the conspirators, they realized that if Mark Antony was present during the assassination, he can intervene because he's Caesar's closest friend, a loyal follower. So he can definitely try to defend Caesar. So that is the reason Trebonius plays a very important role in removing Mark Antony from the Senate chamber just before the murder. That is his role in the conspiracy. Now, what does this highlight? Of course, the conspirators had meticulously planned this. See, it's not an easy task. It's not a cakewalk, right? Of course, it needs a lot of planning and coordination. Each conspirator had a specific role to play, right? So, if you remember, Casca had a role to play, Trebonius has a role to play, Metellus had a role to play, which you're going to see in the next few questions. So, that is how the assassination was planned and finally executed. We move on to the third question. Why does Metellus Cimber plead for his brother? Metellus Cimber's plea to Caesar for the repeal of his brother Publius Cimber's banishment acts as a crafty plan to move close to Caesar. This request is intentionally designed to distract and surround Caesar, allowing the conspirators to position themselves for the attack. This plan conceals the true hostile intent and it delays Caesar's suspicion. It showcases the conspirators' manipulation of political and personal tactics within the Senate. So, why does Metellus Cimber plead for this? Now, most of you must be thinking that it is a genuine request, right? But more than a genuine request, it was a plan to move close to Caesar. It was a strategic plan of all the conspirators to distract Caesar and surround Caesar in that manner. And that was one of the ways to position themselves for the attack. That is the reason he pleads for his brother. So, what happened is Caesar, he never suspected that anything can go wrong. It delays his suspicion. And at the same time, it also shows their manipulation of political and personal tactics within the Senate. Let's move on to the fourth question. And yes, all of you, those who are watching the video, do not forget to check out our products. The link is in the description box, and there are some amazing discounts going on. So if you feel like, you can definitely click on the links and check out our amazing products and the discounts. There are many products in our store also. You get some, cool sweatshirts and coffee mugs. So do check out all the products in the description box. Let's move on to the next question. What are Caesar's last words? Caesar's iconic last words, et tu Brute, meaning, and you too, Brutus, poignantly expresses his shock and deep sense of betrayal upon seeing his trusted friend among the assassins. These words highlight the emotional climax of the scene and questions the bond of loyalty and friendship. The words are also seen as a final acceptance of betrayal. Now, Caesar's final words, like which are relevant even today, and these words are used in various situations to express, at times people's sense of shock, amazement. The context can be different, but these words are still very much popular. So when Caesar uttered these last words, what did he mean? He tried to say that you too, Brutus, you also, it just reflects his sense of betrayal and shock that my close friend, the friend who I trusted the most, is also a part of this conspiracy. So that shows his amazement that how can his trusted friend be among the assassins. So this word, or these words rather, highlight the emotional climax of the scene, and at the same time it questions the bond, loyalty and friendship. How could Caesar's close friend, was most loyal to him, turn out to be his biggest enemy? Right? So these are Caesar's last words, and this is the significance of his last words. The next question: what motivates Brutus to justify the assassination? Okay, now Brutus justified assassination in various ways. In scene 2, also, he justifies in front of the audience, right? Even after the murder, he tries to justify. How does he justify? If you remember, he tells that, come on, let us walk towards the marketplace, let us bathe our hands in the blood and, till our elbow, and then besmear our sword, and then let us wave the swords, and then in this way we will shout and walk towards the marketplace. Why does he ask the conspirators to do that? Why does he ask the conspirators to besmear the sword? Why does he ask them to bathe the hand in Caesar's blood? Because he's trying to show that actually this is not a murder. It's a kind of purification of Rome. This was something which is necessary for Rome. So after the assassination, Brutus tries to justify. He also addresses the Roman public to explain his motive. He claims his actions stemmed not from envy or hatred, but from a profound love for Rome's liberty and welfare. His famous justification, not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more, it serves to frame the assassination as a necessity for Rome. However, Brutus's idealism contrasts with the more personal and political ambitions of his fellow conspirators, highlighting tensions within the group and foreshadowing the ensuing chaos. As we all know, that Brutus was an idealist. His thoughts, his concepts, they were clear and transparent. He never had any evil motives behind his plan. But that's a stark contrast to the other conspirators' thought process, because each conspirators had their own ambition, which could be personal or political, but Brutus never had an ambition of his own. So that is the contrast that Brutus has, or that can be seen with the other conspirators. Let's move on to the sixth question. How does Antony initially react to Caesar's death? Yes, and if you think that all these question answers are helpful, definitely please do not hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, those who haven't subscribed till now. Because even though I can see a lot of people are watching the video, but they have not subscribed, I really don't know why. Of course, it really gives me, motivation, and it inspires me to make more content if I see you people subscribe and being a part of my community. So yes, also share this. These question answers are really helpful. And if you really want to prepare the drama nicely, thoroughly, question answers are definitely very crucial. So yeah, do share it with your friends. Let's come back to the answer. Antony's initial reaction is a mix of grief, shock, and strategic caution. He deeply mourns Caesar's death, but rather than responding impulsively, he sends a servant to assess the conspirators' intentions before taking action. He also requests safe passage to speak with the conspirators, demonstrating his awareness of the dangerous political situation. This initial response is just the introduction to Antony's masterful manipulation of public opinion later in the scene, showcasing his ability to emotionally manipulate the common people of Rome. Now, Mark Antony is an extremely clever personality. He's cunning, crafty, wise, and intelligent. He's a strategic leader. And we see the traits of Antony's character in various actions that he takes. Just after the murder of Caesar, Mark Antony is not impulsive. He doesn't come immediately. He sends a servant. Of course, he's, very grief stricken, shocked, but at the same time he's cautious because he thinks that if he comes right now and if he meets the conspirators, it could be possible that his life is also in danger. So he sends a servant to assess the situation, and he wants to be very clear with the intentions the conspirators have. And not only that, he even tells Octavius later on that right now this is not a safe place for you to be here. So all these things highlight that this man is a masterful manipulator, and that we can also see in scene 2 when he talks and he's a great orator, how he convinces the common people, emotionally manipulates the common people of Rome and gets everybody on his side. So Antony's initial reaction was grief, shock, but then, of course, he also moves ahead with caution. We come to the seventh question. What conditions does Antony accept from the conspirators? Antony agrees to the conspirators' term that he will not speak ill of them, and he will only praise Caesar with their permission. His acceptance of these conditions initially suggests submission and cooperation with the conspirators' authority. However, this apparent cooperation hides his true intentions. By agreeing to proceed cautiously, he gains the opportunity to address the public and sow seeds of doubt and unrest against the conspirators. This agreement is a strategy that enables Antony to deliver one of literature's most famous speeches, eventually turning public sentiment against Brutus and the other assassins. His initial acceptance reflects political intelligence marked by a longer term plan for revenge and justice. So, what conditions does Antony accept? Antony agrees to the conspirators' terms that he's not going to speak ill of them. Okay, and he's only going to praise Caesar. Though initially we feel that maybe he is submitting to the conspirators' demands, but actually it hides his true intentions. Because he is gaining an opportunity to talk to the public, and he's sowing the seeds of unrest against the conspirators. Because if you have gone through the funeral speech of Antony, which is there in my membership program, in Act 3, Scene 2, the very important scene, of course, you will realize that how craftily he, provokes the crowd. He triggers their unrest, he triggers their aggressiveness. And finally, what happens is there's a lot of chaos and destruction, lawlessness in Rome. So this is a strategy. He initially agrees, but that's actually a strategy where he delivers one of the most famous speeches, and that's how he turns the public sentiment against Brutus and the other assassins. So his initial acceptance, it reflects his intelligence, his political intelligence, but that's a long-term plan. It's actually a way to hide his long-term plan for revenge and justice. So I hope I was able to help you with the most important question answers of Act 3. And my members, let me tell you that you will get a PDF of these question answers in the membership tab. So do check out. I'm going to share the PDF. And yes, if you think that this was helpful, do share this video as I have said earlier, and continue supporting our channel. If you support my channel, I can really give you a word that I'm going to come up with more valuable videos, and definitely it's going to be a milestone in your educational journey with Nilanjana's exclusive English lessons. And yes, as I said, do not forget to check the description tab because there are some amazing discounts given for the products which are displayed. Thank you so much and have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.